Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Week Ahead Snapshots. My name is Andreas Haralambus. I'm a senior market research analyst at Bullwaves, and this is a small section outlining the key events that are upcoming throughout this week. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, on the first slide of our presentation, we have the two main themes of the week, which is obviously one, Nvidia, the world's largest company that drives the AI trade in general, is going to report earnings, but also we have the Jackson Hole Symposium, where a bunch of central bankers and economists are going to gather and discuss monetary policy in general. So those are the two key themes of the week. But besides that, we're going to probably pay close attention to the upcoming core PCE reading, which is crucial for the United States economy in general, but also the trajectory of long dated bond yields, more specifically the 30-year yield, has kind of stabilized around the 5.25% level earlier today. It's obviously not a great signal for the US economy, and that's why we're going to keep monitor the trajectory of this key metric going forward. For the time being, let's dive in a little bit more deeper into the two big swing factors, if you like, of the week. Again, Nvidia, the poster child of the AI race, if you like, is going to release their second quarter earnings results on Wednesday, and this is going to give us a health update, if you like, on the AI trade in general. So, since it sits at the epicenter of the AI boom, investors and traders are going to be paying close attention to the results, not only revenue and EPS, but more specifically on the forward guidance of the company, hopefully getting some sort of hints on the demand and on that note, a backlog the company has, but also some sort of updated picture on the capex story, on the capital expenditure, and how much money are these, most specifically, this company is throwing away, no, not throwing away, but putting into its workings in order to make these kind of AI future come to the present. So guidance is pretty much everything, we must say. So a strong outlook is going to probably lift confidence into this overall, not just Nvidia, but the overall sector, semiconductor and technology stocks in general, probably throughout September. So this is going to set the scene for the month to come. And an obvious miss is probably going to give rise to these calls of the AI bubble bursting yet again. So $91 billion dollars is the expectation from the company itself. On the street, analysts are forecasting, if you will like, 93 to 95 billion dollars of revenue coming in. We'll see, and we'll probably keep you posted on the results on Thursday, since this release is going to come in the aftermarket hours of Wednesday. So yeah, on the next topic, on the next front, we have the Jackson Hole Symposium. Again, it's an event held at the Kansas City, which is in Wyoming, and it's hosting, in a sense, a plethora of economists, but also more specifically policymakers and central banks, major officials. So these key figures are going to gather together and discuss the state of global monetary policy state, if you would like, and hopefully give us some sort of clues on how they see the global economy faring amidst this kind of weird environment. More specifically, however, we're going to be fixated upon the commentary from Chair Warsh, which is going to be his first symposium, if you like, now that he's the head of the central bank and it's at the helm of the US institution, let's just put it like this. So hopefully we're going to get some sort of commentary on the recent bond market fiasco and the rise of bond yields, which is signaling that market participants, more broadly speaking, are placing a lot more emphasis on the fiscal side of things. So they are worried that the US economy may not be able to repay its debt obligations, and that the fiscal, um, let's just say, bubble, some may say, it's kind of growing larger and larger. The debt obligations are growing larger and larger, and the interest payments on that debt are increasingly getting larger. So this is the debate on the back scene, if you would like, that major economists and analysts are bringing to the forefront, but for some reason is not getting that much attention. So last week we had some sort of buyback scheme by the US Treasury to calm these kind of markets, but the effect kind of lasted for a day. That's why we continue to see this is going to be a problem. However, at the Jackson Hole, we don't really expect to hear anything on the back of this. However, if we do hear something on the state of bond markets of the United States, but more generally of other nations as well, because that's a similar trend taking place there, this is going to bring back some sort of volatility near the end of the week, probably Friday. So, and moving on, we have the inflation update economic data coming in on Wednesday, so 2 days ahead of the Jackson Hole Symposium, more specifically the speech from Chair Warsh. This is going to be important because this piece of information is going to give us a little bit more clues about how Fed policymakers are going to place their votes on the upcoming September meeting. Again, it's crucially important to see that inflationary pressures are doing. More specifically, when we talk about core PCE, we're talking about the Fed's favorite inflation metric, the one that the central bank is currently and has been looking at. So to gauge inflation. So it strips out volatile food and energy prices. So it's going to give us a much more nuanced number or percentage, if you like, in regards to the price pressures across the United States. 0.2% rise is expected. Prior reading was 0.1%. So we make a scenario here. Shall we see core PCE on a month basis, let's just say, exceed by a lot the 0.2 percent or the 0.2% expectation? This is going to bring back this kind of debate of hikes at the September meeting, mainly because inflation pressures have been persistently sticky, and the fact that they have rose on a month-on-month basis is going to give a little bit more pressure for policymakers to reconsider hiking rates at the September meeting, which was the primary case a month ago, where we had 80% chance for a 25 basis point hike at the September meeting. At the end of the month, we saw those kind of odds plummeting to around 25 to 30%, mainly because of the beaten down NFP print, but still hotter than expected print, higher inflationary pressures most likely are going to push this kind of high scenario back into the picture, and we'll see how policymakers are going to deal with that. So a cooler than expected core PCE reading is most likely going to keep the Fed on pause. We don't really expect to see the Fed pondering about cutting rates anytime soon for the time being. So a hotter than expected CPI print is going to probably put hikes on the table, back on the table, whereas a cooler than that is going to probably keep the Fed on pause. So yeah, key economic release, definitely going to keep an eye on that. And lastly, we just mentioned that as well, the ongoing backdrop in regards to bond yields. I covered this topic in the prior slide. So elevated bond yields are indeed lifting borrowing costs higher and ripple not only into gold, which has benefited on the back of this, but also the dollar and equities at once. 5.25% level, multi-decade high level, definitely going to be placing a lot of attention on that. And maybe we're going to get some sort of statement from US Treasury, more specifically from Scott Bessent on the back of this. Maybe if they get out of hand, this kind of yield moves, maybe we're going to get some sort of intervention, quote unquote, from the US Treasury later on this week. But for the time being, that's not the case. So we close the show by showing you a, let's just say, visual outlook on what to expect this week. Once again, today, Monday, we don't have much to monitor in regards to economic news releases. Going to pay more attention on the US 30-year yield, on gold, Bitcoin, and most likely oil. Once again, Tuesday, we have German IFO taking place, going to give us a snapshot on the European economy, what's going on there. Wednesday, we have core PCE, second quarter GDP print, and Nvidia. Thursday, we have the beginning of the kickstart of the Jackson Hole Symposium, if you like. And lastly, Friday, we're going to pay close attention to Chair Warsh's comments and also the revision of the preliminary payrolls benchmark, which kind of summarizes what has happened in regards to revisions for the jobs market over the past year. So again, crucial, this one as well. So this has been the end of today's session, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we're going to catch you up on next week for another brief update. For the time being, take care. Bye-bye.